Hey guys, I am back. Today we are going to do tile in a kitchen at a house that belongs to my daughter. She went on the internet, looked at YouTube in a couple different places, and she could not find any information on how to center the tile in the room. And if it's there, she couldn't find anything that would satisfy her and make her understand it. I get it, because it can be a very taunting task to figure out that. So what I like to do is take the measurement of the room, find the center line, then work off the center line so that each tile, when you lay the tile down, you know that one wall to the next, if you end up with 6 inches at one wall, you're going to have 6 inches at the other wall. So when you look at the room, the tile is center in the room, and you have the same amount of cut pieces on either side. In this case, it's in her kitchen, so it goes up against the cabinets too. So we got to work around that. Sounds like a lot of trouble, and it kind of is. But always remember, if you start at the wall and start working your tile over, well, unless the tile just measures out perfect to fit between both walls, well, then it's going to be perfect. It's awesome. That's what you want. But what if it doesn't? Now you got a wall that's got tile, that's a full tile that starts from the wall and works its way over to the other wall. Well, at some point, you got to cut a tile at that other wall. Now it looks kind of messed up because you got that cut piece on one side. Really, you should have a cut piece on both sides. And that way you have full pieces in the middle. So we're going to do this today for her. And we're going to show you and kind of give you some tips and tricks on how to do that too. Because although I'm no master at anything, I do have common sense. And common sense says start at the middle of the room. That way, if I got to cut a 6-inch piece at the one wall, that means I'm going to have a 6-inch piece cut at the other wall. And your eye, it'll be very pleasing to the eye to see that, because then your floor is symmetrical with the room opening. So bear with me. We're going to show you how I like to do it. And that way you have some tips from me and maybe the other guys out there, and kind of put them together and come up with your own idea, your own tips and tricks. That way it'll help you down the road or help one of your family members. But today we're going to try to give her some tips and tricks along with letting you watch too. So bear with me. We're going to do it together. Okay, everybody. So here we are in the room. I measured the cross. It's got a rough opening. It's got a rough opening of 114 3/4, roughly. It breaks down to be somewhere in the area of 57 7/16 to the center line, which would be right here. And so that would be the center line of the room. And even if you're off a fraction of an inch, your eye will never see it. So, I mean, unless you're just a guy that wants, or a gal that wants to get right down to the nitty gritty on the measurement, as long as you're in the sweet spot, your eye will never see it, because this is obviously an old house. The walls and everything are going to run out of square. So, I mean, you know, you got to find a sweet spot. New construction is different than remodeling. This is remodeling, so there's a variance. And then across this way, it's 149, so it works out to be 74.5-ish. You know, and it's a sweet spot too. So this is the actual center of the room right here. This is the center of the room as we're talking. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to split the difference of the tile, the width of the tile. We are working with a 12 by 24 inch tile, and we're going to run it long ways with the room. So that means we've got 2 feet of tile this way and a foot this way. So we got to find the center line of each tile, start in the center, then work our way up. And then by the time it's done, we're going to end up cutting pieces for that wall, around all the cabinets, and this wall. So, you know, it's a little bit more work, but when it's done, the room will look like it's supposed to, with all the tile symmetrically centered. So we're going to get started. I give you an idea. Like I said, she couldn't find nothing. If someone had been on there and said, hey, run a tape measure from one wall to the next, find the center of the room from width and length, and then work from the center out, she probably could have went with that, but nothing showed her. So here we are. But bear with me. Okay, so as you can see by the chalk line on the floor, right there, all the way across, and then right here, starting from there, going all the way down. All right. Now, as you can see, that is the center line of the room. That is directly the center right here at this cross. Let me get out of the shadow here. See it? All right. Now what we're going to do is take a piece of tile and the tile, what we're going to do is take a measurement across the tile, find the center line of the tile. Really, what we're worried about is the edge right here, like here in the center. Let me show you a piece of tile that we've already got mocked up. All right, so here's the center of the tile. This is a 12-inch piece of tile. Here's the center line, and then here's the center line right here. Okay, I'm going to take this piece of tile, and as you can see, we're going to place it down at the cross. There and there. And that gives us, as you can see, there's a line there, and a line right there. As you come up, now that tile is dead center of the room. So now we'll start placing tiles here and go on down, and then place them this way going across. And then there's going to be a cut piece at the wall, and then a cut piece at the base of the cabinets. And then over here, as you lay your tiles out, coming across, you're going to have a cut piece right here at this wall as well. So when you stand back, the room will be aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So I've laid out a couple pieces of tile. You can see the center line right here. And then the marks I put on the tile, which works out to be on this piece of tile, 11 3/4 will be the center line. But as you can see right here, I took one of these little spacers that they give you. Typically, everybody puts them this way down inside the crack to gauge the crack in for the grout line. What I did was I cut one end off, and I laid it in here. See, and that gives me my center line between my tile. And then you just start stacking. In my case, I'm going to stack a couple and kind of get an idea of where my next cut tile will be. As you can see, the next tile will separate right here like it does on the other side. But as you can see how long that tile is, I'm going to have to cut around this cabinet. And that's what you want. That way when you look through the room, these two pieces of tile where they meet are cut around each cabinet. Right here and here. So just cut the first piece of tile, and I'm going to elaborate on why you want to have the cut pieces to the outside perimeter. Now, if you look at this tile, you've got a beveled edge right here, a nice clean beveled edge right here, and the beveled edge right here. When you put your grout up, it'll look clean and smooth. But the reason why you want the cut edge to the outside of the room is because you're going to either hide it with some trim or some kind of baseboard or a threshold that goes from one room to the next. And this is why. Look right here. If you look real careful, it's a little jagged. And those jagged marks, you can see them in your tile. Now they make something to cut it clean and give it a more machine surface look. But that's why I like to put the cut edge to the outside of the room, so you have the ability to hide the cut area. Always remember when you're doing that, because it gives you options in the end. Measure around the cabinet. So I take my tile, as you can see what I've done here. I'm pre-laying out a few pieces, because once I put the the cement down, mortar, whatever you want to call it. I want to have enough that I can get something done. So I'm laying out a pattern, but I'm taking this tile, and you can see my straight edge. I am straight edging off of this tile right here. I'm going to use a straight edge to find my reference for the next tile going up to the cabinet. So I'll mark a line, see the line on the tile. Then I'm going to measure the distance from this mark down to the line of underneath the cabinet here. If you can see that, whatever this distance is, I'm going to transfer it over to this piece of tile where you can see I've already got a mark right here, right there. And it turns out to be 7 inches. Well, I come up here, and 7 inches will get it done right here too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down half the tile, because that's where I'm at with half the mark on the yardstick. That's my half mark. I'm going to come down to the middle of the tile and go 7 inches out. And if the measurement's correct, you'll make your mark down here, and then this way going forward, and that's going to be the center tile around the corner of the base of the cabinet. So what we do is we lay a tape measure down here, come to the edge, and then whatever my mark is from here to here, whatever that distance is, I'm going to transfer it over to this piece of tile, and I'll show you. All right. So this is roughly going to be 12 inches, 12 7/8. Okay, so now I'll hook it on here. I do 12 7/8. Let's see here, 12 7/8. Okay. And then I do 12 7/8 up here. Or you can use a square, it don't matter. It doesn't matter how you get the job done, it's all the same. But in this case, I'm going to do it like this. Then mark my tile with a straight edge. All right. Just grab a line from there, going forward. Sorry with the camera, I'm trying to do that and this too at the same time. And then I mark 7 inches I mark 7 inches over. Actually, I actually have to measure the physical amount from the corner of the tile right here at the corner up to that mark, because you got to allow that little gap between it for the grout line. Once I do that, then you'll see. After the cut, that's what it should look like. Remember the line right here? That's at the corner. Remember, I took a straight edge and I straight edged right here. So I know that is where this one is. So then I continue on with the next cut. But as you can see, it comes around the cabinet. Okay, so then we'll get another piece in here. As you can see on this one, this is a full piece, and that one's going to be a full piece next. Watch. And there's the full piece. And it'll be a small cut piece where her hands are. So there that piece is. And we're going to do this other piece here in just a minute. So for the next cut, we are going to do this piece right here going up against the cabinet. As you can see, we got our corner piece in, remember? All right. In order to get the measurement for that piece, we're going to have to probably take off just a little bit on actually this end. We're going to take it off, but we got to measure from this end here. So we're going to do the old straight yardstick trick again. And you can do it with a level, but I can't find my level, so I'm going to use a yardstick. I figured it's just as straight. That's all I'm looking for anyway. It's a nice, clean, straight edge. So I'm going to take these out right here. Take these out and this one out because this is place where it's going to go. That's one reason for the mock-up. There's so many cuts. I want to make sure I got these cuts right, and I don't want to waste time with the cement, drying up while I'm cutting things, because I just like to have a full room or close to a full room to start laying tile immediately. So I'm going to take the straight edge, and I'm going to take the straight edge, lay it down here to give me a reference on the corner. And the reason why I'm doing the corner, the reason why I'm doing at the end of the tile, the corner, is that gives me a true measurement from one tile to the next tile, because you got a grout line. And if you don't compensate for that grout area, it throws your measurements off. So if you measure to the next tile, the edge of it, then the next tile edge will be right in line. Everything should fall right in place. But they don't describe that to you. No one tells you about that. And yes, my techniques are probably somewhat of cavemanish, but it's okay. It's getting the job done. So let me show you what I'm doing. Measure off this straight line, because you know this tile's where it's got to be. So now look how much we got to take off. So I can just take this tile and turn it around. Not a big deal. So I just grab my line. Follow me? There you go. So now I'll turn it around, I'll cut it, turn it around, and it'll fit right there where it needs to be, and that'll be the cut side against the cabinet. But when I cut it, take this, turn it around, so the cut edge is that way. Because the cut edge, like I said, is not as nice and clean as the factory edge. But they do make tools to make them, but I just don't have one, and it's just simpler to turn it around. Okay, we're going to recap what we did here real quick. As you can see, we've went around the base of the cabinet and coming down through here. And now we went in this little pocket where the range or the stove will be. Now, if you're wondering how I did the cuts, which, I elaborated on it just a few minutes ago, but it's easy to take a straight edge. If you mock up your floor, like this one here was my center. It's my cross measurement. As you can see, the blue line right here, and obviously there was one here and one here. This tile is dead center of the room. So we're moving this way with it, and then we're going to go this way with it. But for now, it's square, it's where it needs to be, and everything's working off the measurement of this tile. So the next series of tiles go down. And as you can see, what I did here was this tile here, you cut the end of it off, then you use the remnants of the end of that tile, and you use it to cut for this tile. So this one tile right here gives you two pieces for two runs of the floor, because you'll need it down here at the same. Down here at this end should be mimicked of this end. You'll have a short piece cut right here, and then you'll have a longer piece that's cut, but you'll have it on the other end. Once you lay it out a little bit, if you want to figure out where the next piece will go, like inside this opening, you can take a yardstick, or a 4-foot level, whatever, and I laid it on the corners. And what I did here was I laid it down to show you where the straight part will be. Edge it down right there. And now look at it. It gives me my reference to the next tile up. Actually, from this tile to the row of this tile, of course you split them because it's in the middle. And then you have this tile up here. Take your yardstick and it will dictate where the next run will be. Well, if you go off this tile right here with a straight edge along right here, it'll give you the corner to follow to get your measurements for the base of the cabinet. So if you put your straight edge right here, like this, and then you measure off the straight edge into your cabinet, that gives you your area of the tile that you need to measure for and cut. You know, so it's not that bad of a deal. You just gotta put some forethought into it and look what I've done. And I'm sure other people have done it too, but check it out. Okay, here's the perimeter done. As you can see, I've pulled the full pieces off the floor. I left my tile that I drew my cross pattern on, and the center line of the room both ways, this way and this way. All right, if you look real careful, my chalk line goes up to the cabinets and out here to the other floor. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to pull all the tile up around the perimeter and set it in relationship to where they go, because I've laid this whole floor out with cut pieces so I know exactly where they go. I gauged them. The only thing I didn't fully cut is against this wall right here. Only because if the floor shifts or grows or shrinks, that's going to be a final cut that will be a problem. Now, like I was showing before, if you take the center line and work off the center line of the floor and work your way out in both ways, both directions, mud as far as you can go, but you always want to work yourself back to a door opening, because once you put down the mortar or cement, whatever you're using, but glue, it don't matter. It works for tile, it works for wood, it works for anything, but you got to work your way out of a door. So when you're done in that room, and you come back after it's dried. But you can see, now I got to pick the pieces up and start mixing some cement. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and put the glue down, cement, mortar mix, whatever you want to call it. This is a wet dry glue or adhesive. You can put it down a couple different ways. I like to trowel it out with the flat side of my blade, like here. I'll show you. I troweled it out, got it smooth surface, got it kind of the thickness that I want for what I'm trying to do here. And then I go back with the other side of my blade, and I get in there and I like so. And that allows me to, the little fingers, they build up an edge, a thickness. When you push it down, it squeezes, and it kind of gives you a baseline of how much to use. That's why this trowel's made that way. It's straight on one side, got little fingers, notches, grooves, whatever. People use different terminology. I keep it simple. As you can see, I've already started running along the base of the cabinets, and now I'm coming out here. I'm moving to half the floor, and I'm working my way out to the door that I came into. That was why I cut all my pieces, so I can now do this a little bit faster than trying to cut them and fit them. Everybody has their own way. This took a little bit more time laying out the floor plan. Now that it is, now I can run with this glue. So now you see I am almost finished and had to go get a little bit more mortar for the tile, the set mortar. But you can see how the pieces right here at the edge of the floor right here, that's a cut one, and then the next one's cut. But if you look at the other end, it's cut down there also. I'll show you. I'll walk over there. As you can see beneath the cabinets, it's got a shortcut piece just like that end down there. And that's why you want to center it. You want to center it in the room, crisscross, find the center of the room. And you can see the tile that I still got the X on. But now listen to me. They make laser levels that will put the lines on the floor or on the ceiling or on the walls. Yes, they make equipment to do this instead of, measuring and scribing lines and chalk lines and that kind of stuff. But remember, I'm doing this on the cheap. I don't try to make stuff to where the point you have to go out and buy $500 worth of stuff to try to save $300. That, to me, that doesn't make any sense unless you're going to be doing it repetitively, in another house or, and it's something you really enjoy and you're going to do it more than one time. Then yeah, go invest in the tools. And I actually have a laser level, but it's broken. So there I am. So as I'm saying, you can buy all types of equipment, laser levels, ones that do the laser beam up the walls, down the bottom of the floor, will square the room up. They make everything to do this job with. Trust me. The professionals usually have all them tools. And there's nothing wrong with having them yourself if you want to pony up the money and buy them. However, it's my understanding that most people on YouTube like to try to find ways to do it on the cheap and get the same results. So this is kind of my method. It takes a little bit more effort, but in the end, the product, if it turns out nice, if someone walks into your home and says, "Hey, I like that. Who did it?" And you go, "Well, I did." And they're just blown away because you figured it out on your own. But until next time. So here we go. Got the floor done. As you can see, all you have to do is take your time. We got one piece to do right here, but we ran out of tile. So that's for a later date. Next will be grouting this thing. But there you go. That's what it looks like. And this floor was not level. This floor was kind of off a little bit, so we had to get a little creative with bringing the mortar up just enough in certain areas to make it level out. But you can see where the tile right here meets the next tile. Like I showed you, take a straight edge and jump that tile right there to give you your reference for the next one. And then you just run the line, run it on down. So I hope all the tips and tricks that you've learned, or at least seen, you were able to maybe incorporate. I hope it was helpful to you doing this little bit of a video. But till the next time, just remember, I'm a one-man band.